Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing today? It is Thursday, my dudes. I hope you are all doing fantastic. If you're watching this later in VOD form, thank you for taking the time to check out the video on YouTube and or Twitch. And also, we are now going to be on podcast services around the world thanks to an amazing service called Anchor. Not sponsored, nothing like that. It's just an amazing service, sincerely. If you are looking into starting a podcast, it is the easiest thing you can possibly do. It is absolutely fantastic. With that being said, we're looking at an ETA for the podcast upload. It's going to be uploaded right around the same time that I do YouTube and the other platforms if you are interested in that. And so with that being said, it's probably going to have a couple of hiccups. I have never done a podcast directly through the PC before, so we'll have to see how that goes. But today we have some amazing news stories, the first of which was added early this morning, and I woke up, actually I went to bed to this news as it was happening, and as I woke up and kind of caught up with what exactly happened after I had gone offline, let me tell you right now, there were a lot of changes, there were a lot of additions to the story, and we'll go ahead and jump into that. But first off, again, thanks for taking the time to check out this brand new morning show hosted here on twitch.tv/TheSamuelAdams every single weekday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you did want to join in the chat, shoot the shit with me while we record the episode. But without further ado, without further advertising, let's go ahead and jump into what we have going on here today. And the first news story is that Drake sets records with his Fortnite Battle Royale Twitch debut. I have an issue with this headline because it's not necessarily about Drake himself, because the main focus of the story, I would say, is actually on Ninja, I would say. Of course, Drake is the more prominent public figure, as you would guess. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the story written by Patrick Gill. And again, this is from Polygon. Tyler Ninja Belvins is a Twitch streamer whose profile has been rapidly rising alongside massively popular Fortnite. Between February 22nd and March 3rd, Belvins gained more than 50,000 subscribers, which of course, for those that aren't familiar with the Twitch culture, a subscriber is pretty much a paid version of a follower where you support the streamer in a way that's a little bit more than your standard kind of just watching the stream, which is going above and beyond without, needing to say much more than that. It's an amazing little gesture. But man, he's been killing it with subscribers lately. And while hundreds of thousands of people tune into Fortnite streams every day, it's not every day that one of the biggest musicians joins them. As of 1 a.m. Eastern Time, Ninja's stream with rapper Drake has nearly 600,000 concurrent viewers, surpassing Dr. Disrespect's previous non-tournament record of 388,000 concurrent viewers. The all-time Twitch record is held by E-League Major Boston 2018 with over 1.1 million concurrent viewers. So essentially, what happened last night is that Drake was playing Fortnite with Ninja. This is not something anyone really had predicted. Hello, Razum, in the chat. What's going on, man? Welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing fantastic, breaking down the best news of the night. But Drake was playing Fortnite with Ninja, which is mind-bogglingly unexpected, I would say. And who would have thought that at the beginning of the year we would have a Fortnite stream of the caliber that it has over 600,000 concurrent viewers with one of the most popular modern musicians playing alongside one of the most popular streamers on Twitch right now. What's happening on the stream? We have a couple of bullet points written here in the Polygon article to break down. Drake and Ninja discuss the future of Fortnite Battle Royale. Drake thinks that they need to focus on freshening up the existing map rather than creating a new one right away. Drake confirms he knows what League of Legends is. He drops extra weapons for Ninja. He's a team player. Drake plays on PS4. Ninja plays on PC. It's not entirely clear if the two are playing on separate platforms in this stream, though we've reached out to Epic for comment. I think it was through PC, though that is, as we said, yet to be seen. Looking at Ninja's, obviously Ninja's playing on PC, but looking at Drake's control scheme and the way that he was, moving around the map, I would say that there's about a 95% chance that he was on PC as well, but he could have been using a controller. There are a lot of different ways that you can do that. So we'll talk about that. But Drake does have a SCUF controller, so obviously there is going to be a controller involved there. Drake uses the John Wick-inspired skin. He's snacking on pizza while he plays. He confirms he's a vegetarian on the stream, which, if we're reading into things, means he's not interested in chicken dinners. And man, that joke was low, wasn't it? That was just... That was quite the interesting joke they included there. But breaking, Drake confirms that he does in fact enjoy pineapple on pizza, and there is a clip with over 13, well actually right around 13,000 views of Drake confirming that he enjoys pineapple on pizza. So there are a couple of thoughts that I have here with this one. it is insane. I say this every single day, pretty much, that I'm streaming, that I'm making this morning show, that I'm making a video where I'm talking about Fortnite. Who would have thought that Fortnite is the game that takes off in the way that it did? Who would have thought that Fortnite is the one that is in the public eye, that is being played by one of the most popular, as we said, modern musicians of our time? It's blowing my mind daily to see how this thing is growing, and on top of that, how fast Ninja himself is growing. He is the new face of Twitch, ladies and gentlemen. As of right now, with the Fortnite Battle Royale hype that's going on, Ninja is representing Twitch as a platform in the public eye, because there are so many people out there that listen to Drake's music, that know who Drake is, that associate with his brand on a daily basis, that have never heard of Twitch, that don't even realize that video games are live streamed on the internet. And so to be able to be in the public eye like that is a lot of responsibility, but I would say that I think Ninja is one of the best people that can possibly do that. And I wanted to figure out the best way to bring up a comparison whenever I was talking about this episode, or this news story, because it's been in the public eye recently how platforms are represented online whenever you have somebody that is growing steadily and rapidly on the platform. And so whenever you're looking at how YouTube is comparing to Twitch, you have YouTube largely being represented in the public eye by Logan and Jake Paul, particularly Logan Paul over the course of the past couple of months. And obviously, in a lot of ways, there was a negative connotation around Logan Paul, especially considering the choices that he made and the moves that he made, starting with essentially the very beginning of the year with the Japanese suicide forest video that he made, and then followed shortly by a lot of other poor choices that were made. We're not going to dive into that, but essentially there's a bad taste in people's mouths with Logan Paul for the most part, and then on top of that, you get a bad taste in your mouth around YouTube just because of that association. With Ninja, however, overwhelmingly, the dude seems to be, and don't quote me on this because it very well could be something a little bit different. You know, you never know somebody until you really get to know them in their content, because I don't really watch Ninja. But I will say that he seems like a truly good individual with a good head on his shoulders, and that's really important with an online platform like Twitch, because there are so many people of a younger generation, of a younger caliber, that are watching his stream and really being socialized through Twitch chat. And that's something that not a lot of people realize. Whenever you're online chatting with people in a live stream, just kind of, you know, hanging out, you might just be getting home from a long day at work, and you might just be watching a game and commenting along with other people. But there are other viewers in that stream that are participating in chat that is their friend connection for the day. That is how they live their life every single day. You know what I mean? It's definitely a different kind of vibe. Risem in the chat says, you would think PUBG would be better frames per, would be the better FPS, but apparently people like more Minecrafty FPS. I don't think that it's about the look of the game. I don't think that it's about the building mechanics at all. I think it's about the fact that Fortnite is a lot more inviting as compared to PUBG. PUBG looks very difficult whenever you're just looking at it from an outsider's perspective. That's essentially what it comes down to. And the mechanics are a bit more complex as well in comparison to Fortnite, aside from the building mechanics. But the fact that it's free to play, the fact that it's available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, all again free to play, is a major factor in its success so far, I would say. And the fact that it also looks fun doesn't hinder it whatsoever. But essentially, this story boils down to the fact that Ninja is a fantastic representative. As of the end of his stream, I believe, or a clip that I saw, he had hit over 180,000 subscribers, which is literally breaking a record every single time somebody else subscribes to his channel. I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest to, by the end of today, see a headline that reads, Ninja hits 200,000 subscribers on Twitch. It's an amazing time to be a broadcaster, and it's an amazing time to be on Twitch, because you are literally seeing history being made where the nerd and geek culture is being merged with pop culture in a way that we've never really seen it truly merged before. You know, you'll have certain stories that are covered. You'll have certain games that are in the limelight more, like your Call of Duties, your Battlefields, your Maddens, your NBAs. But for Fortnite, for something to be embraced by the hardest of the hardcore to the most novice of the novice, such as, you know, I don't know how often Drake plays games, but it just seems like something in my mind that would normally be associated. You understand what I'm saying. It's weird seeing these two worlds collide in such a way and mesh so perfectly together, and it creates such an amazing conglomeration of pop culture, essentially. But that's the story right there. It's pretty amazing. And will we see Drake actually start streaming? Who knows? Deadmau5 has. We've seen Post Malone start up a stream or two. It's incredible to see what happens. Though it is going to be really interesting to see the evolution of this after Fortnite begins to drop off in popularity. When that will be, who knows? Yet to be seen. Give me one moment. When that will be is yet to be seen. We don't really know, but when that does happen, I feel like there's going to be a large drop-off after the Fortnite hype dies down. I feel like those that came over when Drake was playing with Ninja, those that came over whenever you see people, you know, famous people playing Fortnite, which I would assume they're going to be more of doing this now after the success Drake's had. But I feel like that will drop off, and there's going to be a bubble that burst, so we'll have to see when that happens, which is going to be incredibly interesting, and super excited to see how that happens. But moving right along to the next story, Microsoft announces big change to its Xbox E3 plans. E3 2018 press conference and Xbox FanFest plans detailed. This is also a story from Polygon, written by Michael McWhorter. Yo, Wolf, how's it going, my friend? Welcome to the Twitch chat. I hope you're doing fantastic. I don't know if you've ever seen the morning show, but it's recorded live, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, uploaded to YouTube and all of that good stuff. So I may not be as involved in the chat as I normally am. Microsoft will have a very different presence at this year's E3. The company announced today that it's moving the majority of its Xbox presence, including its annual media briefing and Xbox FanFest activities, to the Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles. Rather than having a dedicated Xbox booth at E3 2018 on the Los Angeles Convention Center show floor, Microsoft is setting up shop at the nearby theater and at LA Live. Microsoft said it will still have a meaningful presence at the convention center in the form of a new booth completely dedicated to video streaming service Mixer, where you can play, stream, and interact with games and catch the latest E3 news live throughout the entire week. Microsoft's Xbox E3 2018 briefing will be held at the Microsoft Theater on June 10th at 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Presumably, that will be streamed on a variety of platforms, as Microsoft has done in the past. I'm betting there is going to be some kind of interactive element on Mixer, if I had to guess. That just seems like something they would do. Especially as they're pushing that hardware. With that being said, in years past, Microsoft has held its E3 presence at the Gallon Center in LA. Gallon, something like that. So things will look a bit different this year. The Microsoft Theater will also become home to various Xbox FanFest activities, hands-on gameplay, and demos for all E3 attendees and more, the company said. Not only does Microsoft Theater allow us to centralize our Xbox presence at E3, but its size enables us to include even more fans and partners in the E3 Xbox briefing than ever before, Microsoft said. Microsoft said the move from LAC to the Microsoft Theater was done in response to changes at E3 itself, which is once again open to the public and will feature extended show hours in 2018. Incredibly interesting move here, and I feel like this is a really telling story of the evolution of E3 and how it's changing as time goes on. So for those that do not know, a couple of years ago, and for the majority of its existence, E3 has been closed to the public, or it was closed to the public. It was mainly for industry professionals, it was mainly for the press to get in there and really get their hands on the newest games, the newest hardware, the newest information from the gaming industry, and to reproduce that, create content for that. And it was really a privilege if you got there, you know what I'm saying? It was really a significant achievement if you were able to get your way into where you were working at E3. That was pretty much the thing that marked that you made it, or at least it's what marked that you made it from the outside looking in. That's the way that I always saw it. Growing up, I was a huge fan of E3. I always watched the coverage on G4 TV that was covered by Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb on X-Play, and the hosts that were over there on Attack of the Show that would cover the show. It was a really foundational part of why I'm here at 6 o'clock in the morning, dressed up in a suit, talking about video games on the internet. That's exactly why that I do what I do. It's amazing to see how it has evolved over time. But of course, a couple of years back, E3 became open to the public. Yet again, I believe that it was closed off a few years previously, and then they decided to open it back up as more and more people were focused on covering the content online rather than making the trek out to the convention center. So in order to kind of make it a more appealing event, to make it more appealing to a mass audience, they opened it back up to the public, and lo and behold, a ton of people rushed the show floor because those that were like me that grew up watching E3 coverage, that grew up watching online content coverage, they wanted to be there. They wanted to pay as much money as they had to pay to make it to the Electronic Entertainment Expo. And so now we are seeing certain companies start to pull out and make their own events elsewhere. And I think Xbox is able to do that, and Microsoft is able to do that because they have such a presence and they have such a hold on the online reality as of right now, because they have this brand new service called Mixer. It used to be known as Beam Pro, I believe, if I remember correctly, and essentially Mixer is competing directly with Twitch, but there are a couple of technological enhancements that are had on Mixer as compared to what Twitch has at the current time of recording this video. Shut up and take my money, says Razum in the chat. 100%. I would go see E3 in a second if I, had expendable amount of money to do, or to give away. But Mixer, as compared to Twitch, essentially lowers the latency between chat and what the streamer sees. It also has some interactive elements that can be used through the use of Sparks currency, which is essentially a site-wide currency that is earned on Mixer through either streaming or watching streams. And these are just a couple of the elements. There's even a built-in controller where you can give, quote-unquote, the controller to one of your viewers to play the game for you, depending on if they redeem a specific amount of Sparks. And these are just a couple of the amazing innovations that are happening over there on Mixer. And so with these brand new ideas coming about, it makes sense for Microsoft to make this leap. It makes sense for Microsoft to try their new idea and go ahead and have their own center for E3 coverage. And on top of that, you also have a ton of Xbox activities and Xbox Fan Fest and a lot of different things that really just make sense. They simply just make sense when it comes to having your own location, having your own event, as compared to doing something directly at the convention center itself where the rest of E3 is. It'll be interesting to see how this ends up going down, because there are going to be a lot of industry professionals that wish it was all centralized. There are going to be a lot of industry professionals that wish that everything was at that one center so they wouldn't have to go to a lot of different places. But fans, specifically Xbox fans, will definitely make that trek over to the location where the Xbox Fan Fest and the rest of the festivities, if you can call them that, the coverage, etc., is being held. And I feel like that's going to be the hardest of the hardcore Xbox fans. That's going to be the most dedicated, and so the response will in general be better. Ooh, in the chat, Big Boss, how's it going, my man? I hope you have a fantastic day. Welcome, welcome. E-Vicer, still haven't forgiven them for Windows ME and Vista. What is Windows ME? I'm not 100% sure what that is, but E-Vicer says that in the chat. Interesting you say that. Vista was one of the first operating systems that I actually used. And of course, Microsoft, as far as Xbox goes, and Microsoft as far as Windows goes, they're pretty far from each other. But man, Vista was just a really bad version of an OS. Razum in the chat says, I unfortunately haven't seen any of your Mixer streams, but it sounds like an interesting site. I did a couple of streams on Mixer, and I learned a lot from it, especially as far as the technological side of all of that goes. But as far as the longevity of the platform, it's still yet to be seen. I'm not sure how it is going to be holding up whenever you compare it to a reality where Twitch is just such a Goliath. I mean, as the previous story covered, Drake's over here playing with Ninja on Twitch, and on Mixer you have, Johnny Shoelaces with 3 viewers. It's difficult to compare it right now, but the technology is there. There is potential. And then you have things like Facebook Gaming, and I know there are a ton of people that say, oh wow, Facebook Gaming, no one's going to be on that platform. Mark my words, it will blow up. Maybe not on the same level as Twitch right away, but there are a ton of office workers that have no idea that games are streamed online, and they will find it through Facebook. I am saying that right now, but as usual, I'll be covering E3 in the comfort of my home, literally sitting here, more than likely in the suit and tie, as I tend to be, and we'll just have to do that. Give me one moment to adjust the green screen. There's a rip in the space-time continuum right behind me, and it's bothering me immensely. Beautiful, we fixed it. So yeah, I'll be covering that right here on the Twitch channel. There will be YouTube uploads, etc. I'm probably going to be doing it differently on my end this year, just because I have more capabilities and I can do more. We'll see what my time constraints are with work and all of that good stuff, but I plan on doing a pretty big shindig for this event because it is on Sunday, so that will be pretty exciting. Moving along to the next story, Shadow of the Tomb Raider release date apparently leaked, reveal coming soon, supposedly today. We'll see how that goes. This is written by Oscar Deus, or at least it was last updated by Oscar Deus on GameSpot.com. Shadow of the Tomb Raider's release date appears to have been leaked. The official Tomb Raider website is currently displaying a countdown, presumably to a full reveal, but the site's source code shows the game will launch for PS4, Xbox One, and PC on September 14th, 2018. Update, if that isn't enough, it seems that a trailer for the game has also leaked, albeit in a very low quality. I don't want to watch that trailer because, being in the rip it down from Twitch and upload on YouTube society that we live in, I'm going to get hit with a copyright strike like a kid gets hit with a car as he walks across the street with his ice cream cone that he just got from the vendor. Like, I don't want that. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the climactic finale of Lara's origin story, the source code reads. Available September 14th, 2018. Additionally, the code lists PS4, Xbox One, and PC as the available platforms, which is interesting given the most recent game in the series, Rise of the Tomb Raider, launched on Xbox One before coming to other systems. Elsewhere, the code mentions a reveal date of April 27th. It's possible the game will be officially announced on the date displayed on the website itself, March 15th at 6 a.m. Pacific Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 2 hours and 48 minutes from the time, 38 minutes from the time of recording this video right here, which will be very interesting to see before a full gameplay reveal next month, though that remains to be seen. Shadow of the Tomb Raider hasn't yet been revealed, but Square Enix did say in December that a new game was on the way after rumors had surrounded the third game in the series for a while. Driven by our goal of putting our fans first, we want you to know that it won't be long between the official reveal and when you can play, read the company's statement. Our journey will begin with a major event in 2018. We simply can't wait to take you on Lara Croft's defining adventure. It's not yet clear who's developing the game. In 2016, Crystal Dynamics, the team behind both Tomb Raider 2013 and Rise of the Tomb Raider, hired Visceral Games veteran Ian Milham to become a game director for the Tomb Raider franchise, reinforcing the suggestion that the studio was making a Tomb Raider game. However, the company is also working on a new IP and a new Avengers project, which is incredibly interesting to me. Sources from Kotaku have previously claimed that the new Tomb Raider game is being made by Thief and Deus Ex Mankind developer Eidos Montreal. The new Tomb Raider movie is also coming to theaters on March 16th. That's just great. I had free tickets. I'm probably not going to be going. Razum in the chat says, the new Tomb Raider games look really interesting. Unfortunately, I haven't played any. To go ahead and start off there, that's a good place to start, I would say, Razum. We do have a couple of games that have come out between 2013 and I believe 2016, as it was said. Whatever, when Rise of the Tomb Raider came out. I think it was 2016. You can correct me in the chat and or down in the comment section below. With that being said, I played through a good hunk of the... Actually, no, I did play. I played through both of these. I completely forgot. Yeah, I played through the first one on the Xbox One, and it was relatively fun. And the first one being Rise of the Tomb Raider, or the first one being Tomb Raider 2013. I apologize. And then I played through Rise of the Tomb Raider later on the PlayStation 4. I don't know. I played both of them. I remember them very definitively. They're fantastic games, amazing titles. I would say that they're borderline better than Uncharted. And that's a statement that's difficult for me to utter because I'm a huge fan of Uncharted. I'm a huge PlayStation fanboy when it comes down to what I love at the end of the day. And so to see Rise of the Tomb Raider and Tomb Raider do it so well, just so well, I cannot wait to see what's going on with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I suppose we'll be seeing some kind of teaser later on today, and we'll probably be talking about that in a follow-up story on tomorrow's episode of Caffeinate, which is going to be recorded live yet again right here through twitch.tv/thesameitems if you wanted to join me for that, or later on. But, yeah, it's good to see that we're getting another one. I didn't think that it was even a question. I assumed that we would be doing that from the get-go. Razum says, kind of an Uncharted-like from what I've seen. Yes, 100%. It is very much so Uncharted-like. There are puzzles that are to be solved. There are caverns to be traversed. There are guns to be shot. And it's essentially a high-octane, action-packed ride from what I remember myself. Worth playing, though. 100% worth playing. And you can generally get them on sale for a relatively affordable price. It's really not that bad. And that's pretty much what we've got. It'll be interesting to see how it goes down. Will they make some changes to the release date? I highly doubt it. If they had wanted this to remain confidential, they probably wouldn't have put it in the source code, because this right here, this is all just free publicity, ladies and gentlemen. This is all just free publicity. Whenever anything, quote-unquote, leaks, that's whenever you get people talking about it, and that's exactly what we've got going on here today, because here we are on a morning show on Twitch talking about it ourselves. With that being said, moving along to a an article from the Nerd Mag, new Nintendo Switch incoming, ? Hardware revision spotted in 5.0 firmware. If we are to believe the data mining findings in a series of tweets below, it seems that Nintendo is intending to release a new hardware revision of the Nintendo Switch as the data mine reveals a new SoC that, I don't know what that is, that could pave the foundation for the new Nintendo Switch console development. It has become common knowledge that the Nintendo Switch has achieved homebrew state and the floodgates to piracy are shortly waiting to open. According to the post on Switch Brew, it goes into detail. Looks like we got an SoC revision. Might be a good time to pack up a console with a vulnerable boot ROM. Okay, so these are the people that hack into a Switch. I'm not really into that kind of thing. If you want to do whatever you want to with your own console, that's on you. You know, for me, I'm probably going to not hack into the firmware of my Nintendo console because I don't want to be, liable for anything that happens. I don't want to be sued by Nintendo. I don't know how this stuff works. What do I look like? Some kind of nerd that can hack things? I'm not, if that's what it looks like. Earlier this month, Nintendo commented that they will give focus to titles and accessories over the main console, and consider Nintendo has a rare track record, said the Nintendo handheld line. This is a really poorly written article. I'm sorry, whoever wrote this. It's just, oh god. With making hardware revisions to their systems as opposed to Sony and Microsoft, who have adopted it as a commonplace practice for their most home consoles. Could this be a first Nintendo? I'm done with this. Okay, so there's a rumor that we are going to be getting a new version of the Nintendo Switch that may or may not be bigger. And I believe that pretty much what they're going off of is the fact that there is a new Nintendo 3DS and the new Nintendo 3DS XL, etc., that have a couple of new bells and whistles. Will we be seeing that with the Switch? If the firmware leaks are anything to go off of, perhaps. But personally, I don't think we're going to be seeing any kind of hardware revision from Nintendo until at least 2019. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see it until 2020. Because Nintendo has detailed this is going to be a console with some longevity. We're talking 10 years, upwards of 10 years of Nintendo Switch coming down the pipe. And so to have no hardware revision anywhere in there would be, you would be gullible to believe that there is no kind of hardware revision coming for the Nintendo Switch itself. It's just going to be happening at some point or another, but I don't think that it's going to be happening anytime in 2018 especially. 2019 is probably about like a 60% chance in my opinion. Will we get a new version of the Switch every 2 years? That could be an option. That could be an option, but I just don't see it happening feasibly. So with that being said, this is all just rumor, this is all just speculation, and this man right here, Lord bless you, child, you gave it a good shot. Moving along, Monster Hunter World's first major update is coming next week. Devilho introduced new features debuted. It's going to be interesting. Rasm says it could be great with a bigger Switch, just at least just bigger controllers. Yes, a larger Joy-Con would be fantastic. I agree. A bigger Switch would certainly lend itself to more cooperative play, as we saw in the trailers for the Switch building up to the launch. That could definitely benefit that in the long run. But moving along, the first major update for this story comes from Eurogamer.net, written by Martin Robinson, published on the 3rd of March. Dang, these European dates. The 14th of March, 2018. The first major update for Capcom's Monster Hunter World is landing next week, introducing a new monster into the ecosystem while also adding some welcome new features. Devilho, I'm assuming that's how you say that. I have really, truly no idea. A menacing brute wyvern will be making its debut on March 22nd and is the headline edition. Elsewhere, you'll be able to re-edit your character's appearance, though it seems you're only allowed to do so once for free via a ticket, with subsequent tickets available to buy for real money. An option to return to the Gathering Hall has once... Hold on, I gotta zoom in on this. I have the eyesight of a blind alley cat. Let's get that real nice and big for old man Sam here. Appreciate it, bud. An option to return to the Gathering Hall once a quest has finished has also been added, while the various weapons are seeing adjustments too. The news is all set to be announced in a stream going through the update later this morning, though Famitsu has jumped the gun a little by revealing the key details and the date. It is worth noting to be a free update for all players. It's not the first additional content for Monster Hunter World. Since the launch, we've had Horizon Zero Dawn and Street Fighter V crossovers, with a Devil May Cry one now slated for later this year. Monster Hunter World has also proven quite the success story for Capcom and is now its best-selling game of all time, which is all deserved, really, given how wonderful the game is. I like that little final touch. I enjoyed that. Martin, you did good. Everybody go give Martin a follow. I want you to click on the link that's in the description box of this video /stream, not the stream, live stream, the video afterwards, and go give this man a follow. He's a really badass individual. So I guess we'll check out this little video. Oh wow, this is a 2-hour live stream. Oh my god. Oh wow, that's a lot of information. Hello? Where are we going? Okay, alright. Yeah, it's just more Monster Hunter World stuff. You got a big-ass dragon thing that's coming in an update. So for those of you that are super into Monster Hunter World, this is definitely an option for you. I think it's going to be an amazing chance to jump back into the game if you have finished everything there is to finish. And if you have finished everything there is to finish, you, my friend, are quite the gamer, because there is a lot of meat to that game. From what I can gather, the ticket system is interesting. It's kind of like a microtransaction-y kind of thing. Not really, but overwhelmingly, I feel like the game is doing well, because it is literally Capcom's best-selling game of all time, if I remember correctly. So that will be, a definitive turning point in the Monster Hunter franchise, and really in the history of Capcom going forward, I would say. At least I believe that's how we are going to be looking back on this in the next couple of years as more and more evolutions and changes take place. Moving along to a story that is incredibly disappointing for me. It truly is disappointing for me, and that is the fact that Toys R Us is set to close or sell every single store in the U.S. Up to 33,000 employees will lose their jobs. This story is coming to us from Charlie Hall on Polygon. Executives at Toys R Us told their employees today that the company will sell or close all of its more than 700 remaining stores in the United States, according to the Wall Street Journal. The move could put up to 33,000 Americans out of work. Hold on, I need a coffee break. Excuse me. You guys are over here driving me like a slave. Oh my good, like I am over here a gaming news. Just you know what I'm saying? Executives at Toys R Us, we have already read that. The Journal said that the news came directly from CEO David Brandon, who delivered the news via conference call. Quote unquote, I've always believed that this brand and the business should exist in the U.S., Brandon said. Suppliers who abandon the chain over the holidays, as well as customers who shop elsewhere, will all live to regret what's happening here. Damn. That's a little bit darker than I imagined. I don't know that we'll all regret it. I feel like it's just kind of the evolution of the industry. We'll get into that in a second, though. News of Toys R Us's financial troubles came in September when the company filed for bankruptcy protections. In January came the announcement of more than 180 store closings. Later in February, that number was increased to more than 380. While promises of severance benefits for retail workers were broken, a judge allowed the payout of millions in bonuses to the company's top executives. That right there, that's, man, I hate that. I hate that so much. It's expected that Toys R Us will file for liquidation this evening ahead of its bankruptcy court hearing on Thursday. The status of the company's international retail footprint is unknown at this time. Now, there was another article that I believe they were closing every store in the UK as well, which consisted of around, I want to say 7,000 jobs. Don't quote me on that, but it sounds right around the, that sounds about what I was thinking it was. With that being said, this is the end of an era. Growing up, this is where I went whenever I had a birthday party. This is where I went whenever I had any kind of, event going on in my life where somebody said, what do you want for X holiday? Whether it be Christmas or whether it be, any kind of, I don't know, Kwanzaa. We didn't really do Kwanzaa when I was a kid. I'm trying to think of holidays because I didn't want to say birthday is a holiday because your birthday isn't a holiday. Yeah, but anyways, I used to go to Toys R Us a ton as a kid, and so I had one pretty close to my house, actually, and I would go for hours in there, wander around, look at action figures, look at video games, go and check out the newest consoles. I specifically remember the year that I was really wanting a PlayStation 3, and this is probably back, let's see, I was in 6th grade, so this was well over 10 years ago. Oh god, I'm getting old. Yeah, so I would go and I would look at the consoles, I would check them out, I'd sit there and just bask in the glory that was the video game aisle of Toys R Us, and of course look at everything else they had to offer. But to hear this going down the pipe, it's going to be weird to not have Toys R Us, but it's all kind of an echo of what's going on with the online retail space. Amazon is killing it. Amazon is absolutely killing it, and the reason that Amazon is overtaking Toys R Us in the way that it is, and this is pretty much my direct blame for why Toys R Us is closing, my mother is a perfect example. She used to go out and she would shop at Target, she would shop at Walmart, Kohl's, Belk's, Dillard's, all of these places. If we need anything, if she needs to buy a gift, if she needs to buy something for herself, she will go straight to Amazon and order, and it will be here if she's using Prime now within 2 hours, sometimes even an hour if we're really crunched for time, and she'll get free 2-day shipping with Amazon Prime. I do the exact same thing. I can't remember the last time that I went to a brick and mortar store searching out something to purchase or going for a specific item. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't need to go anywhere anymore. That's what's mind-boggling. And we're going to be seeing the same thing as the grocery chains evolve and as they start to deliver stuff into your own fridge. Walmart's doing a store-to-fridge delivery kind of thing, if rumors are to be believed. I think I read that somewhere. This is all just coming out of the back of my mind now. I'm kind of rambling, but it's amazing to see how the industry is evolving and more people aren't leaving their homes. Kind of scary, actually. Now, Rasm in the chat says, we actually have Toys R Us as well. Pretty cool place. It's a fantastic place. It's really a wonderland of toys and gifts for the younger generation. And so to see that gone is going to be something that's very disappointing, though I don't like the foreboding, we will all live to regret what's happening here, coming from CEO David Brandon. I mean, I would regret it too if my job was being lost. But with that being said, payouts have, definitely alleviated some of that pain, I would say, for some of the top people in that company, which is a pretty shitty way to do things, especially whenever you cut out all of the benefits and severance packages that you were going to be giving to employees. But unfortunately, in the circumstance of a store chain closing, there is a lot of there are a lot of morals that are lost, largely because there's nothing left to lose whenever you go bankrupt. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. So that's kind of unfortunate. Anyways, rip Toys R Us. You were fantastic. I loved you. You defined my childhood. Jeffrey the Giraffe. I'll stroke your cheek with my mouse cursor right there. You guys can't see it if you're listening to the podcast or the VOD, but it's there. It's there. Moving along, For Honor Starter Edition includes 6 playable heroes for $15. The Vanguard heroes are fully unlocked, while the 3 chosen faction heroes will require a little extra effort. This is coming to us from PC Gamer, written by Andy Chalk. Andy Chalk, my man, coming through with the For Honor Starter Edition story. What up, dude? Ubisoft is now offering a For Honor Starter Edition, a scale-back edition of the game that will include the full story campaign and all multiplayer modes with 3 fully unlocked Vanguard heroes, Warden, Razor, and Kinsai, plus 3 more playable heroes from the faction chosen at the start of the game. The 3 faction heroes won't be customizable until they're unlocked, which will cost 8,000 steel, For Honor's in-game currency. The remaining heroes that were included with the game at launch will be unlockable and customizable for 8,000 steel, while post-release heroes will cost 15,000 steel, the standard going rate for DLC characters. The For Honor Starter Edition is available now and sells for $15 compared to the $60 for the standard release. That's quite a discount, the trade-off being that you'll need to invest a lot more time in the game to get all the good stuff. Grinding for steel is, well, a grind, as we noted. Here, Ubisoft increased the steel payout shortly after the analysis went up, but it will still take a lot of time to earn the necessary currency through gameplay. Steel can also be purchased, but it's not cheap. You'll have to fork over roughly $40 to unlock the remaining heroes included with the base game and more if you want the DLC characters. That's maybe a little less extreme than the Rainbow Six Siege Starter Edition, which we recently declared a quote-unquote do not buy. But at the very least, it's something to be aware of. If you want the full For Honor and don't feel like grinding your face off, you might be better off springing for the standard release. This is so incredibly interesting to me because For Honor has not been killing it essentially since launch. When it launched, it was already set up to be some kind of competitive Viking battle game. It was a really interesting way they chose to stage the game before it came out. They chose to frame it in the way of something like a competitive online, almost Street Fighter-esque tournament, but from a different perspective and with different kinds of elements, kind of like a Deadliest Warrior, essentially. And that simply didn't pan out, especially whenever you had a ton, let me get in here. I want to make it very clear, a ton of server issues that plagued the entire launch and really just put a bad taste in people's mouths. And so whenever you miss that initial wave of hype, and whenever you miss that initial wave of getting people on board, you have pretty much lost, especially when it's an idea as new and innovative as we have here with For Honor. Yeah, Rasm in the chat says, more microtransactions, great. I completely agree. It's one of those things where this is pretty much a last-ditch effort, I would say. I can't imagine that this has been the plan since the beginning. I just simply can't imagine that. With that being said, it's going to be interesting to see how this edition does end up taking off. Will it be something that is actually good in the long run? Will it be something that is a quality experience? Maybe. Will it save For Honor? Maybe. It's definitely going to be getting more people through the door than your $60 edition, but when it comes down to it, I feel like eventually this game is going to be going either free to play, or it's just going to kind of fade off, and eventually you'll be able to buy it in a Steam sale, alongside things like the Techromancer, and other low-end games for around $3.50. But it's incredibly interesting to see how it goes down like this, because I've always had my eye on For Honor. I've always been watching it, just as a, as an innocent bystander, I don't want to get involved, but I'm interested in what's happening. And so it's definitely a turn for the game overall, and it's going to be interesting to see how people respond to the steel grind, because you do have to get that in-game currency to get a lot of the content in the game. But for $15, you get a couple of characters, you get some experience with the game, and essentially you can pay the rest of the money if you do want to upgrade and get the full edition of the game. And so we'll see how many people actually do end up doing that. My guess, not too many. Moving along, Skyrim VR is coming to PC next month. The PSVR exclusive is coming to Vive and Oculus Rift, which is fantastic, and I actually thought had already happened, but apparently I had missed something because we are just now getting that, ladies and gents. This story comes to us from IGN, written by Tom Marks. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim VR, which initially launched last year exclusively for PlayStation VR, will come to Steam VR with support for both the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift on April the 3rd. In an official blog post announcing the release, Bethesda said that Skyrim VR will include the entire base game and all of its DLC expansions, the same as the PSVR version did. When we reviewed Skyrim VR for PSVR back in November of last year, we said, and I quote, it was, quote unquote, at once the best way to experience Skyrim and the worst way to play it, citing the clunky controls of the Move controllers as the problem. The improved tracking of both the Vive and Rift controllers, as well as the potential to increase graphic settings, could help mitigate some of our initial issues with it. We also expect Bethesda to make some more VR-related announcements at E3 this year, and you can check out everything we expect from Bethesda's E3 press conference right here through this link. Going back to For Honor for just a moment, Razum in the chat says, I don't play games like Battlefront and stuff like that, but I would say most people like less pay-to-win games. 100%, and microtransactions are a delicate balance, because I don't mind the ones that are like Fortnite, where it's all cosmetics. I don't even mind, really, characters that have, certain attributes. If you want to pay for some DLC characters, I completely and totally understand that, but make them not so overpowered as to where I feel compelled to buy them. To simply compete in the game. I don't want that. I don't mind if it's cosmetic. I don't mind if you put new characters and new DLC content in the game, but make it an even playing field for those of us that are poor or that don't want to pay the money. Do you see what I'm saying here? That's where I draw the line. But with Skyrim VR coming to Oculus Rift and HTC Vive, fantastic. It's the next evolution of what we've got going on for Skyrim VR. Like I said, I thought this was already a thing. I thought that they had already done this. But apparently this is just now happening. So for those that have an Oculus Rift or an HTC Vive, then you should get excited, because this is probably going to be the best version of Skyrim VR to date. The question is, how is the port treated? Is it just literally copied and pasted from the PlayStation VR version of the game and put into the Steam catalog, the Steam library, etc.? I don't think so. I feel like this game is going to have to be tuned up a good bit by the guys over at Bethesda before they're able to really put it out there on the HTC Vive and be confident in the product that they're making. But I feel like this is going to be a fantastic move for Bethesda in the long run, and I feel like it's something that was coming down the pipe for a hot minute, and one that we all kind of expected, and it's going to be incredibly intriguing to see what they do announce at E3. I know I keep saying incredibly interesting, it's all just very interesting to me, because VR is doing such an amazing job of really getting into the limelight. Even I am interested in PlayStation VR and VR in general at this point, and so with that being said, it's cool to see it finally coming to the HTC Vive. I don't really have anything else to say with that. All the DLC, all that good VR stuff up in your eyeballs, coming out on April the 3rd if you wanted to get in on that. It's not April Fool's. It's actually coming to the, I almost said Switch. It's actually coming to the HTC Vive and Oculus Rift. Ho, ho, look at that. Anyways, yeah. Moving along, the Witcher Twitter account teases news for tomorrow, and this tomorrow is actually today, which would be March 15th. What does CD Projekt Red have up its sleeve? While you shouldn't get your hopes up for news on a new Witcher game or anything of the sort, some sort of news related to the series will apparently be shared on Thursday, March the 15th. A new tweet has teased the announcement, or an announcement will be made then, though it's anyone's guess as to what it will involve. Kaer Morhen's old stones have witnessed many battles. Once more, they'll feel the sting of sparks as blades collide. Check back tomorrow, the tweet reads. There's no accompanying the image or further details offered, including what time we can expect the announcement to come. The Witcher's spin-off card game, Gwent, is still without release date, but what seems more likely is that it's related to the tease the Witcher protagonist Geralt will appear in a game releasing this year. Just recently, CD Projekt Red community manager Marcin Momo, I believe is how you say that. Maybe we'll see what happens with that. Just recently, CD Projekt Red Marcin Momo said, "What if Geralt was going to step out of The Witcher for the first time to make an appearance in one of the upcoming games later this year?" So essentially what the prediction here is that we are going to be seeing Geralt in Soul Calibur 6, and that would be really unique, I think, and I think that's pretty much what's going to be happening. I would say that's the safest bet. I would say that we're going to be seeing a stage, an arena that is set within the world of The Witcher, and I think that's just a really cool crossover, and I love it whenever games do end up doing that, and Soul Calibur does tend to do that a good bit. But just imagine with me for a moment, having Geralt versus Darth Vader, having Geralt versus Yoda, having Geralt versus anyone else that that I have seen in Soul Calibur, but I'm not completely aware of because I'm not a huge fan of Soul Calibur. That's just what I love about the gaming universe, is that you can have so many collaborations, especially within fighting games, that simply work. It's the same thing as having a Super Smash Bros. Crossover where you have all these different franchises finally coming together in the Nintendo sphere. It's kind of like that with Soul Calibur, and so to see Geralt coming in on that, you know, it's just one of those things where I just get excited for it. It's right up my alley. I love that kind of thing, and so it's going to be cool to see if this actually is legitimately what's happening. We'll find out later today, and this is another one of those stories where I will be following up on it as time goes on and as we kind of learn more about it, and that will be in tomorrow's episode of Caffeinate, which is again going to be live at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That sounds freaking awesome, says Resm in the chat. 100%, my dude. Again, that story also comes from GameSpot, updated by Chris Pereira. Good job, Chris. It's a pretty good story. Yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic. I would be incredibly into that. I would be into that more than anyone knows. But I feel like with that being said, we pretty much wrap up this week's episode, or this week. I'm so sorry. We have a lot more to do this week. Let's back up just a moment, ladies and gents. That wraps up today's episode of Caffeinate. I hope you guys have enjoyed this morning news show centered around gaming and technology and entertainment news, which is recorded live on twitch.tv/TheSamuelAdams every single morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And let me tell you, I get up early. I am devoted to this. It's not going anywhere. We're having a good time with it. It's very successful. I love doing this. Anyways, yes, we are going to be live again tomorrow, and actually right after I finish recording this, I'm going to be going offline for just a moment or two if you're watching the live Twitch stream, and then I'll be jumping back on, hanging out, uploading all of this stuff, just shooting the shit with you guys essentially, and sipping some coffee because I need a refill. I'm going to take off this tie and put on a hoodie and some kind of shirt that's a lot more comfortable and more appropriate for a college student. But yes, thank you if you're watching the VOD. Thank you for listening to the new podcast version, which is going to be going up ASAP, and I will send out that link. The chat requested that, and so we have made it happen in a very short amount of time. Congratulations. Yes, I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.